Hello everyone, you are about to hear a brief retelling of the movie Like Mike. Enjoy watching. At the shelter, three friends were playing and throwing a ball into the basket when bullies led by Ox started to hassle them. Kelvin agreed to play against the bully for his t-shirt and unfortunately lost, and the scoundrel, putting it on himself, tore it to shreds. The shelter's director forces the orphans to sell chocolates near the Los Angeles Knights team stadium. But at least the boys can watch the game on the big screen. Because the team lost, the chocolates sold poorly, meaning they now won't be allowed to watch TV. Kelvin approached the coach to support him, and the man wondered why a child was working at 10 o'clock at night. The coach gave him a whole $20 for a chocolate bar, but Kelvin refused. He is not sure that the money they earn goes to the orphanage, as director Bittleman tells them. In this case, the boy will get several tickets to the game for free. Adults came to the shelter to meet the children, but Ox believes that he and his peers have no chance, as prospective parents only want little kids. Sister Teresa brought a box of items donated to the shelter, and from it fell old sneakers. Kelvin immediately tried them on, and they fit him perfectly. They previously belonged to some famous basketball player. Kelvin saw the initials MJ. Could they have been worn by Michael Jordan himself? Ox immediately took the sneakers and threw them onto the power line. According to him, the shoes couldn't have belonged to Jordan, as only junk is brought here. Unable to sleep at night, Kelvin needed those sneakers. Meph and Reggie had to go out with him in the rain. Kelvin hoped to reach the sneakers by climbing a tree. Standing on the edge of a branch, he grabbed them, and then lightning struck the pole. The current passed through the sneakers, as if charging them. Ox saw that Kelvin somehow got tickets to the game and threatened to turn him into Mr. Bittleman. But there were many tickets, and the bully was bribed. The Knights are losing by 12 points, the club is having financial problems. To attract more viewers, the team's best player, Tracy Reynolds, has to participate in a lottery during the break. The lucky winner will get the chance to play one-on-one with him. Naturally, it turned out to be our young hero. Ox tried to take away the winning ticket, but Kelvin outsmarted him and went out to applause onto the court. The boy took the microphone and entertained the audience. Manager Frank asks Tracy to let the boy throw at least one ball into the hoop. "I want to be like Mike," Kelvin says, lacing up his sneakers. Kelvin has 1 minute. He threw the ball, and Tracy no longer intends to lose and lets the opponent get to the hoop. Then Kelvin makes a three-pointer. The professional gets angry, and the next moment the boy literally flew to the hoop and hung on it. The entire basketball arena fell silent, then erupted in applause. Bittleman was engrossed in a chess game and saw nothing. But Frank approached him to negotiate for Kelvin to play for the Knights. The coach doesn't understand what this is all about. How will the team benefit from this meter-high kid with a cap? The manager thinks that such a move will attract viewers' attention and offers Bittleman $5,000 for a one-day contract. However, they had to add a couple of thousand more to make Prydock agree. Kelvin is still impressed by what happened. Together with his friends, he concludes that he succeeded because of the magical sneakers. Ox overheard the trio's conversation. Kelvin came to the Knights' locker room. The boy apologized to the star and got his uniform set, including sneakers. Kelvin realized that he was here only for advertising. Everyone doesn't care how he plays. He just needs to excite the viewers' interest. Commentators are trying to figure out what the Knights are up to. Kelvin is still sitting on the bench. The Knights, as usual, are losing. During the timeout, the boy gives advice to the team, and the coach admitted that they are quite sensible. Tracy is angry with the upstart, and the coach also replaced one player with Kelvin. But the sneakers on him are not the right ones. The boy reluctantly went out on the court and refuses to lead the ball. He again asked for a timeout, supposedly wanting to pee. Kelvin rushed to the locker room to change his shoes. He returned much more confident in his abilities and immediately began to deliver results. The score gap is narrowing, and Kelvin flies at the hoop just like his Erinis Michael Jordan. It was Kelvin who earned the last winning points. In total, the undersized wunderkind brought the team 27 points, and they immediately signed a contract with him. Kelvin is getting ready for an away game, and Bittelman informs him that under the terms of the contract, he is the boy's guardian, and as long as he plays for the Knights, no one will be able to adopt him. On the plane, the coach insists that Tracy live in the same room with the boy, so it will be easier for them to find common ground during the game. The hyperactive boy does not give peace to the NBA star and drives him crazy. Before leaving, Tracy suggests Kelvin order food in the room. And when the orphan learned that all this was free, he ordered much more than he could fit in himself. Tracy returned to the room with a girl, but she was more concerned about the health of the overeaten Kelvin and spent the whole evening paying attention to him. The boy apologizes for taking away his neighbor's girl. Kelvin made Tracy pray with him, otherwise, he wouldn't sleep. It turned out that they both have no parents. Because Kelvin snored all night, Tracy did not get enough sleep. And the boy also ratted out his neighbor, telling him that they walked all night before the game and returned to the room only at 1:30 in the morning. With Kelvin on the team, things got better for the Knights, the players got closer, and the boy became the face of the Los Angeles Knights. Thanks to his sneakers, he outplays all the NBA giants, though at first they mocked him. With the money earned, he bought and gifted electric scooters to the children in the shelter. Now basketball stars are taking autographs from him. However, the teen's exit may be delayed due to unfinished homework. At night, Kelvin tells Murph how cool it is to be famous and how many privileges he now receives. Even now, he sleeps in sneakers, and envious Ox wanted to take them away again. Bitterman protected the boy. He needs to protect the goose that lays the golden eggs. Tracy went to the pharmacy for allergy medicine and sleeping pills and refused to take the boy with him. Another player says Tracy is like that with everyone, even with his own family. It turns out he does have a father, he just doesn't communicate with him. Kelvin sneaked into Tracy's car and started a conversation about his father. He would give everything to have a dad. In the pharmacy, a pharmacist began to flirt with the basketball player. Tracy got carried away with the conversation and took a sleeping pill instead of allergy medicine. He passed out right behind the wheel, and he needs to return to the hotel by 12, otherwise, Tracy will be suspended from the game. The little one put a wheel under his butt and sat behind the wheel himself. Miraculously surviving, he managed to arrive on time. In the morning, Tracy learned that because of his antics, Kelvin was suspended from the game. The pro realized that the boy saved him and thanked the young player on the plane. He himself helps Kelvin get rid of his fear. Kelvin did not have time to prepare for the geometry test, and Murph approached him upset and said that a crowd of adults had come who wanted to adopt Kelvin specifically. It turns out Bittelman lied to him about the contract and the adoption ban. The villain convinces the boy that they became interested in him only because he became famous, and also promised to pick the best parents for him. Among the contenders were artists, military, hippies, Rastafarians, and other eccentrics. Kelvin made his way to Tracy's mansion and appreciated how richly he lives. The guy complains that his friend was offended by him, that they sent him lousy parents, and tomorrow he will definitely fail the test. According to Tracy, good parents will still be found. He needs to talk to his friend right now, and he will personally help him with geometry. The NBA star, for the sake of such a thing, painted the walls of his mansion and explains the tasks using different game schemes familiar to Kelvin. The study ended with mutual paint pouring. Murphy just pulled up in a taxi. Murphy also wanted to study geometry. 2 more victories and the Knights will be able to participate in the playoff series matches, and Kelvin has just provided one of them. If everything works out, the team can expect bonuses and advertising contracts. Murph says that Kelvin doesn't need parents, let Tracy adopt him. But the boy wanted to first solve the problem with the father of his older friend and came to Tracy together with his father. However, the basketball player just got angry at him and drove him away. Due to the lack of coordination of the main stars, the Knights lost the next game to the underdogs. They had one last chance in the match against the Raptors. It seems that Kelvin was finally about to be adopted by a decent family, living in a wealthy area. Bittelman got tense. He asked Ox about the sneakers. Indeed, it was all about them. Now he convinces the boy that he needs to look neat for the potential parents, so the old sneakers should be replaced with new boots. Kelvin entrusted his little friend to guard Jordan's sneakers. He immediately tried them on and said, "I want to be like Mike." Kelvin immediately flew out of them during a jump. Bittleman and the hooligans interrogated Murph and burned a photo of his mother. Eventually, the boy gave in and told them where the sneakers were. Meanwhile, Kelvin dined with a wealthy family and caused a mess. Bittleman went to the bookmaker and bet $100,000 on the Raptors. The fact is that he had information that Kelvin would play poorly in the upcoming match. The prudish family told Kelvin that they would finalize all the documents tomorrow. Now he would be a Boyd. Tracy finally met with his father and now he wants to talk to the boy about something important. But, seeing the Boyds, he realized there was nothing to talk about. Miff called Kelvin and told him that his sneakers were now in Bittleman's safe. The boy was sure they were in his bag. Kelvin had to steal a vehicle and urgently return to the shelter. The game started without him. Kelvin persuaded the children to all attack Bittleman together and tie him up. Now they needed to beat the safe combination out of him. Ox approached. Bittleman asked him to help free himself. But Kelvin reminds Ox that he is one of them, not a sixer villain. Bittleman was wrong to call the hooligan an idiot. He decided to join the other children and help them. After all, if Ox was an idiot, he would not have peeked and remembered the safe combination. Kelvin got his sneakers back, and the orphans rushed to the stadium on scooters. Bittleman called the bookie, and now he and his men are trying to stop the children. Suddenly, Kelvin dropped the sneakers, but Murph, who had lagged behind the kids a bit earlier, rescued them. Right at the entrance to the stadium, Bittleman blocked Kelvin's path. Then the boy knocked out the villain, launching a scooter at him. When Kelvin ran onto the court, his team was already losing by 21 points. The audience reacted vigorously to his appearance. Tracy persuades the coach to let Kelvin play. And with the Wonder Boy on the team, they immediately began to close the point gap. However, during the brawl, the old Magic sneakers were torn. Kelvin admits to Tracy that it's not about his talent, but exclusively in these sneakers. Tracy says that now is not the time for jokes, and the boy needs to pull himself together. His partner believes in him. During the timeout, Kelvin tells the players that this is his last game. From now on, he will live the life of an ordinary boy. This time Kelvin couldn't play in the usual way, so he used his wits. He managed to pass to Tracy, and he earned the winning 2 points. The Knights made it to the playoffs. Kelvin regrets that he probably won't see his friend again. But the coach is happy that his protégé finally found a family. However, the Boyds never waited for Kelvin in the parking lot. The boy returned to the shelter. Ox admits to him that the coolest thing that happened to him during this time is the free binge eating in the room. Suddenly Tracy came to the shelter. The Knights team became the sponsor of this orphanage. After the game, Bittleman disappeared somewhere. They say he couldn't pay off the bet. Murph enviously looks at Tracy and Kelvin. And not in vain. The basketball player decided to adopt the boy. But Kelvin insists that Tracy also adopt Murph as a bonus. Soon Reggie also found her family.